Pessoal, hoje a gente vai conversar com o Anton. Ele é um colaborador do Mais na Ucrânia. Ele está atualmente na Ucrânia, a família dele, esposa e filho, estão na França, eles conseguiram sair do país. Ele não pode, nesse momento, porque todos os homens capazes de lutar têm que ficar dentro do país. O Anton ele morava bem centralizado onde a guerra está acontecendo, agora ele conseguiu sair para o oeste e agora a gente tem condição de conversar com ele um pouquinho e vamos ver o que ele tem para contar. Anton, one thing that worries me a lot and that really gets me wondering is like how to deal with faith during a time like that.
Oh, well, being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in times like this, I believe your faith actually plays a great role. It actually helps you to overcome all the trials and challenges and just all your worries and fear in your life. And specifically in this past several years, actually weeks, I've been exercising my faith a lot. Me and my family, we saw a lot of miracles, and we saw that God actually is taking care of us. And everything we're doing daily right now, we are relying on the Lord as much as possible. And it's really a blessing to live in God and know that He's there, He's listening, and He will provide a way and support and everything. So, I know people, they might lose their faith in these situations, but I believe most of the people, they actually gain more faith.
The feeling I'd get is like, wouldn't I just question God why this was happening? But it's nice to see that you're handling it very well. It's really cool. How have you met the church?
I was about 8 years old when my father, he met the missionaries on the street, and they came to our home, and that's how we met the missionaries, and they invited us to come to the Sunday worship. We went, and we like it, and that's the first interaction with the church that happened to me.
And then from then, life just kept going.
From then, we were attending church from time to time, but I was not really interested because I was just a little kid, not understanding a lot. But at least I saw good people around. I felt good, and they taught me how to pray and to read scriptures. And then when I was 13 or something years old, eventually the church missionaries were trying to teach me more about the Jesus Christ and His teachings, and asked me, all right, do you want to be baptized, and when exactly? Just give us a date. And that's how I was baptized to
We've been there.
Church.
We've done that. We were the missionaries eventually.
Yes.
And how is church attendance working right now? Where are you at and throughout Ukraine?
Well, you know that for the past 2 years already we have this pandemic around the world, and all our church meetings were transferred to the online meetings via Zoom or something like that. So pretty much I see that the Lord, He prepared us specifically in this area in Ukraine to be ready, gather online and have meetings online. And we've been doing this for more than a year, and it works fine. We have people, even the elderly people, who are ready to join and participate in everything. Right now, during this war, during this conflict, people are still doing that, and we are actually really surprised and pleased that most of them are still joining Sunday church meetings, and a lot of them are able to participate in the sacrament as well. Also, we have small groups of people who are meeting in the local church houses.
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine too. But usually all those meetings are still translated via Zoom. So I would say not a huge decrease or increase. It just pretty much stays the same.
Okay, so the pandemic kind of came as a blessing in a way to prepare you guys for that. Yeah,
we were ready.
It worked like that for us as well during 2000, most of 2020 and 21. It was pretty much the same. But now we are getting back to normal tendency. How is your contact with your family right now?
So I have a wife and a kid, almost 3 years old son. They both are abroad in Europe. I'm still in Ukraine because I'm not allowed to leave the country yet because of the war and everything. And we just communicate on our smartphones and laptops on the internet pretty much every day, every morning, every evening. We try to send texts and have a little video chat if possible. And I think that's also a blessing, but we still miss each other. It's been already more than a month that we haven't seen each other in person. And my son is always like, I want to talk to him. Like, why is that happening? He doesn't know the situation, doesn't understand, but yeah, he just misses his father too.
I believe you when you say that. So Anton, you mentioned a couple miracles and things that happened since the war began and since this whole situation developed itself. Would you care to mention a little bit more about it?
Yes, sure. Maybe calling it miracle is not a huge miracle for others, but for us in that specific situation, it was a miracle. For example, when everything started the very first morning, when my wife woke me up and said, I hear something, I heard bombing or something, and we decided to leave our city. We just packed our stuff quickly and got in the car and tried to leave the city. It was already pretty packed, like there was a traffic jams and everyone was trying to have some gas in the tanks and everything. It was a little confusing and everything. But as soon as we left the city, we still had enough gas to go to another gas station and to fill our tank. And we had no idea where to go or where we will sleep that night. Plus, we have a small child and everything, So we just said, all right, we are okay, we'll just go. Obviously, we prayed before and we understood that Heavenly Father will provide a way. And our journey to the other city on the western part of Ukraine took 3 days because of the traffic jams and some other problems with gas and everything. But every single night, actually 2 nights, we had a place to stay, like an absolutely comfortable place to stay, to have a rest, to have a sleep and everything and eat. And it was a miracle because a lot of people were stuck in the cities. They were stuck on the roads. We saw like big lines of cars and some of them got in accidents. It's like, what are you going to do now? There's a war in the country. Your car is broken. What's next? So we were so blessed to be safe and, and have everything, where to stay, what to eat, and have a full tank of gas.
And don't you ever consider this a small miracle, man? It's huge. When you start talking, my heart sank down. For me, for example, when it's in the middle of the night and the kids get sick and I get to get them to the hospital, that's kind of like all the trouble I get. Just to imagine packing up and leaving town without knowing where to go, it is a huge miracle. That's amazing.
One thing I just want to mention quickly is that actually it wasn't just out of a sudden. Like, we were trying to prepare ourselves. Like in the church, like for several months, we've been teaching others and saying to everyone, and our leaders were telling us, like, try to prepare yourself. Like, have a food storage, have a water storage in your house. Prepare like 72 hours backpack, when
Mm-hmm.
anything you need for the documents and everything to survive these couple days. And we had those things. So when the time came, we just took those things, rearranged a little bit. So we spent maybe 2 hours to pack everything. Like if we haven't do this, it would take like the whole day for us to pack. So we were talking about this in the church a lot. And people, the members of the church, at least they were somehow ready. Even we were talking to them and we were saying like, the church will not provide an evacuation bus or airplane for you, but at least you need to understand for yourself your circumstances. Maybe you want to go to your relatives, so maybe you go outside the city, like in your like other apartment or place to stay, or you decide to stay. Then you have to think more about your food storage and everything. So at least we were talking about this, and it worked actually and helped us a lot. But eventually, yes, we just go and we exercise our faith. That's how it works.
How difficult was it for your family to leave the country?
It was not a big problem because by the time they were leaving the country, we were close to the border, maybe 2 or 3 hours away from the border with European Union. And so eventually we just felt that, yes, my wife and kid will go abroad and I will stay. So we rearranged our stuff in the car and everything. I got my stuff out and everything else was in the car. And yeah, they just drove to the border. And it was hard on the border because it was big lines of cars and people. So they have to spend there around 8 hours or 10, I can remember, on the border just to cross the border, But still, it was fine. Our son miraculously was doing okay, and he understood that, all right, I'm going to just wait, in the car. But we couldn't imagine how it would happen in normal life, And on the border, lots of people actually were helping. They were just giving away free food and water and everything. So it was manageable. And as soon as they crossed the border, we had other people contact beforehand from the church, and they provided a place to stay overnight. And so it was easier, much better then.
We will be praying for you guys throughout this whole time. We have been and will continue to do so.
Thank you.
Hoping that everyone involved will manage to get out of it safely. But what would you like to say? What would you like to say? There's a lot of people listening, a lot of people getting this message. A lot of people, for example, like me, that it's even hard to get a grip of what's going on. So what I would like personally is like a message of hope, like, how are you feeling? What would you, I don't know, what would you say? It's difficult for me to even put it in words.
Well, one thought that comes to my mind is when we were driving in our car the first day and thinking about everything, and my wife was worried about it, like she couldn't drive. I was driving all the way because her hands were shaking a little bit, and at that moment we thought that, all right, like now we understand what's really important in life. Like we just want to be together and safe, and that's it. Everything else doesn't matter. And so I would say that truly the most important things in life it's what we've got from God. That's what we've been taught in the church. It's relationships, it's our families, and in our life, So it doesn't matter if you have a nice place to stay, or if you have a car, computer, or cell phone, or something like that. It's a good thing to have, but eventually it doesn't matter at all when it's your life or not, So that's what I would mention, that remember the important things. And second thing is that I truly believe, and I saw that God prepares a way for them who believes in him and tries to keep his commandments. I don't know how it works, but it amazes me that in Ukraine, where it is about 10,000 or 11,000 members of the church, none of them is dead right now because of the war. It's unbelievable. Like I thought like a lot of people will suffer or will pass away. But as for the last Sunday, officially, we don't have any member of the church being
the casualty
seriously
number.
Yeah, no casualties at all. We had a state conference and we officially got this information, and me and my colleague also helps me with that knowledge. So yeah, it surprises me. Like a lot of people live in Ukraine and a lot of death already. Like we know the people are dying because of that, and it's impossible to have no casualties in the war. But somehow God protects his people and others who believe in him. So we are truly thankful for that. We don't know how it will be in the future, but at least for right now, I can say that he can help, he can provide a way.
I'd like to thank you for reminding me of what really is important. Sometimes we do forget. I'd like to thank you for your time and for sharing with us your heart. Thank you very much. We'll keep praying for you guys. We'll keep hoping that all this will get to a better end. And I don't know, I can't even say let's get in touch. We probably won't. But may God be with you. May God be with your family. And eventually, probably in a very distant future, in eternity maybe, we get to sit and talk a little bit more about that and the lessons we've learned. But thank you very much, man. I learned a lot.
You're welcome.